Quick thing, we're not going to go into in depth. We've linked to the article in the description, but Huawei, a teardown of the new Huawei laptop shows that the chip powering it is actually made in Taiwan and not China.
Oh.
And I mean, this is significant. This is significant because recently there's been a lot of propaganda being pushed about Huawei. You know, remember there was that whole thing about their phone and the Kirin 9000 or whatever it is, the breakthrough chip.
Yes.
And that turned out to be kind of just nonsense.
Yes.
And then they came out again saying that Huawei's just broken again. Like they released this chip for their computer and it's amazing and it's screw American sanctions. We can do it and all that. When they tear it down, they find out that they're actually just copies of the Taiwan chip or the Taiwan chip itself that were bought just before the sanctions kicked in.
When are we going to be in a boy who cried wolf scenario?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows?
Like, where are we at here? Because I feel like it's really stupid to keep, like, bragging about something that ends up not being true. But actually, we covered this before. China, if they get that first headline out and they get 70% of people to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They don't care about that 20% of people left over that are like, oh, that actually didn't end up being true because the majority of people aren't going to look past that.
Most people in their minds, they're like, oh, China's ahead. They've cracked some code. They've got advanced chips. But the reality of the matter is they don't.
No.
And again, it's been proven that they don't. So please,
But I keep seeing, like, outlets, like news outlets, and they're not wrong. Like any of these Western news outlets, sometimes I get Bloomberg and Forbes and stuff. They're not wrong when they say, like, oh, this looks a little worrying for the whole chip sanctions thing. Maybe it's not working. Yeah. But then it ends up not being true every time. And then everyone's like, oh, well, how many times does it have to take to where they break everyone's trust and people just don't trust them off the beginning?
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
Because, that's the thing. The Chinese government always lies and breaks its promises. Yeah. The Communist Party announced certain rules and regulations, the watchdog for the whole, like, gaming and entertainment, that they were going to stop incentivizing companies to get people to log on in the mornings and things. And they lost $80 billion overnight in, like, stock market crash. Yeah. And so, you know what the Communist Party did?
What?
They fired the spokesperson who made that announcement.
That's the most CCP thing ever.
So, the CCP says to their announcement guy who says these things, this is your announcement to make. He makes the announcement. It causes this huge crash. What do? They're like, he was wrong and we fired him.
Yeah, Feng Shixing was forced to step down from his role as the publication bureau chief of the CCP's propaganda department, by the way.
Literally, he's just a guy. He's just supposed to read what you tell him. So now you blame him.
Shot the messenger.
I know, they literally shot the messenger.
Poor guy.
It's not fair.
Poor guy just had a normal state job. It wasn't his idea.
Well, they got to blame someone because it can never be their mistake, right?
I just think that is the stupidest thing you can do because they're so worried.
Yeah.
The CCP goes and makes this grand thing. They're like, number one, by the way, I've been reading into this.
Yeah.
They're really worried that video games are going to be a platform where people speak against the Chinese government. So that's they're trying to promote this huge censorship thing over games as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this poor guy is just doing his job. He had to go out there and be like, well, our government decided that we're going to put these bans and curb, like, young players from playing all the time, and you don't have to log in every day to get rewards. We're going to do this. And the government's probably like, yes, that he did his job.
Yeah, they were happy with it.
Then everyone's like, no, take your stocks out. Yes. Because what does it look like when a government makes such a grand decision on behalf of private companies? Then that doesn't look like a country you should invest in. No. And China's biggest nightmare right now is that they're losing foreign investors, right? Yeah. So when they do something like this, the repercussions are massive. So what they do is, oh, crap, we just lost $80 billion, but we need these companies, we need foreign investors. I know what people will respond to well is if we remove the spokesman.
Yeah, we remove the guy who said it, and then it looks like it was his fault and he misspoke, and we didn't really mean that.
It's clown world.
It's ridiculous.
Comical, right?
Yeah, so, it's like, look at the love on the streets level of bullshit.
Seriously. But anyway, Shares of NetEase, China's other major gaming giant, responded positively to the news, and I see people hyping this up. It only jumped 1.5% up, right?
Yeah, don't worry. Like
Tencent was 1.2% up.
They're trying to make it as if that $80 billion that was wiped out suddenly came back. It didn't. Only a small portion of it did.
Yes. Yeah. Despite the recovery, however, Tencent stock is still down more than 5% compared to its December peak, with NetEase down more than 11%. It's huge chunk of money was lost, and that's permanent, right? I mean, that's not like that's after the storm had settled.
Yeah.
Right? But it's so funny. They shoot the messenger, and
literally.
I mean, maybe not with a gun, but
well, they fire the messenger.
Step him down,
Yeah. You have to understand what a big part of people's lives gaming is in China. A quick little clip here. Again, we showed you a clip a couple of episodes ago when a guy was in a factory bathroom.
Yeah.
And remember, there were cameras pointing at each stall to make sure that people didn't spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
Now, this factory obviously had a bit of a budget going. So instead of installing cameras, they just cut holes in the doors. So, you're in the bathroom. Yeah, you're doing your business. And look, the whole point of this is that the factory bosses, the people running the factory, want to make sure that people cannot escape to the bathroom.
Yes.
And sit there on their phones and actually get a bit of a rest because they're...
there's a big problem with people sitting on their phones and sort of wasting time. And obviously, the work conditions are horrible, so people rightfully want to escape.
It's your only break
phone.
With this 996.
Yeah.
Now, you see, if you're an office worker in China, it's different because I've been in those office environments, and the people sitting in front of their computers, they aren't actually working most of the time. They're shopping online. They're chatting in, QQ type thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's no big deal. But if you work in a factory, it's different. If you're on a production line or something, or you're doing some kind of manual labor, you don't have that luxury to just basically goof off. So you go do that in the bathroom.
Yes.
But the factory bosses are like, no, we'll just cut holes in the doors and come inspect.
It looks like a cabin door of a ship.
It does, a porthole, You Barlun, Aisashi, Pro Boy, Skewrons,
Skewron. Cartello. Avidas.
Pumba.
Diedads. Dochi and Gabanov.
Absids, dude. Absids.
What
does
Birkenstick?
Birkenstick.
That's an
X-Boy.
Abercrombie and Titch. Torrance Framers, dude.
Yeah, Robots in Disguise, dude. Meats by Dr. Dre.
Ballstar.
But it's kind of like an overweight Jordan or something. Look, it's a little bit different. It's like, why?
Why?
It's like, come on, make up your own stuff for once,
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my life.